Guys, Deluded Guna, YouTube's N'Golo Kante. Thursday, we saw Phil Foden playing in an unusual position of left wing back, left back, and it's caused a lot of attention. Some people are losing their heads over it. So I thought, let me add my 2 pence. Now I watched the game, so I know what I'm talking about. Of course, he's a creative footballer. He's a 10 and 8. You could even slap him on the flanks before the wing back position. So it is going to raise a lot of eyebrows. But you've got to look at what he gains from this. Firstly, I've said it before, City, quite rightly so, are praised for their football, are praised for how they go forward and all them things there. But what is one thing central to their play? Winning the ball back. So you can class that as defending and being defensively switched on. As you've seen, Pep has hooked off players of Barcelona. Henry scored 2 goals and he got hooked off because he wasn't doing what he wanted to do. You have to be defensively switched on in that Pep side, and they are better defensively than they get credit for. They need a centre half, and they do some beaky stuff, but you get my point. Now, when you couple in that Foden, 9 times out of 10, when he's playing in and amongst his peers or for youth level, or when he's older and can compete with the stars that are at City already, he's a 10, an 8, a creative player, a creative hub. He has to be on point defensively, but he's not in charge of that. So when you put in a player who is one of the most creative in his side 9 times out of 10 and gets the most freedom, he does defend, but gets the most freedom, and you put him in a defensive role, what have you now done? You've now changed his mindset because he now can't go forward as much as he wanted to do. He's got to think more. He's playing at left back, so he might have to head it more. He's going to get under his control in more difficult circumstances a bit more. Foden's technically amazing, so it won't faze him. But these are the sort of things, different surfaces, less time on the ball. You got to think more. For his worth, I think he defended quite well, to be honest. He was switched on in regards to shielding his man from the ball. He covered his centre half well. He knew when to attack. There were stages in the first half I felt he could have asked for the ball a bit more. He did do it in the second half, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and say he was doing it in the first half. Maybe between wanting to not put pressure on him, between being a young player, a lot of the pros weren't passing to him, but he was getting in acres of space, and there was only a handful of times he was caught out. There was one where Shakhtar had a chance, but he weren't at fault for any of the goals, and he was definitely one of City's best players. He put in a number of good crosses. He linked up well. He timed his runs well. He defended quite well, and it shows how much of an intelligent and competent footballer Foden is as a whole, not just as a creative process. It's a good experience. Ultimately, he played 90 minutes. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm sure as a young player, pro, of course he wants to play in his main position, and of course you don't want to see him play left back again and again and again. But it's a time to play. He set up Gab Jesus, who really should have scored, to be honest. I was impressed, man. He tracked his run as well. It's a good learning curve and a good experience. I can't understand why people are exaggerating this. It's a good experience. Yes, you want to see him in the 10 role, but he would have learned a lot of lessons then, especially out of possession, having to defend, having to be on point defensively. Because the hardest thing is positioning as a defender. He had to do that yesterday. They were facing onslaughts away from home against Shakhtar. And that's another thing, in a different environment. You can't buy that experience, and that will stay with him for life, more so than with these under 23 games he's playing and things like that. But yeah, man, there's not any more need to go any further, man. Guys, DG, I'm signing out.